Appreciate that. Yeah, like you said, I'm out here, Salt Lake City, Utah, at EMS Today 2017, which is hosted by GEMS, the online magazine for EMS, and it's really kind of a neat conference. This is the first national conference outside of the National EMS Educators Conference that I've attended, and really kind of kicks off tomorrow. So I'm kind of excited. Big lineup of people to talk. So with that, I talk about everyone's a leader in EMS, and this is kind of spawned from several of my past classes that I've taken that's really driven myself. I've had some unique opportunities. Prior to being in EMS, I actually worked at J Sporting Goods as the customer service manager, and so almost my entire working career, I've worked my way up into supervisory or leadership positions, and along the way, I've taken lots and lots of classes, and by no means do I think that I have all the answers or know the right path. I think it's almost a daily honing of your skills to really develop yourself into a leader, and recognize that it's a daily process, which we're going to talk about. So one of the things that I like to try to separate is the distinction between leadership and management. You often get that confused, and it's often sometimes confusing in your own organizations. So I feel throughout all elements of our organizations, everybody has a role, whether you're a first responder, or maybe a paramedic or a fire chief or EMS chief. Everybody has a role in leadership in EMS, and sometimes the unsung heroes are the ones that are the ones that don't hold the title. And like Stephen Covey said, and you don't need a title to be a leader. There's actually a book about that, so the dividing the distinction between leadership and management, leading, as you can see here in this slide, talks about vision and strategy. So leaders have vision, use the strategy to get there. They create value within the organization. They have influence, and they inspire people. They have followers, and we'll talk about followership and what that means and how that plays a role with leaders. Leaders also lead people. They're people-focused, charismatic, setting direction, raising expectations, asking questions. Managers on the opposite side are more focused on policies and procedures, counting value, power, control, having subordinates, managing work. Managers are often very authoritarian. Do this and sometimes very reactive. Maintaining the status quo, giving directions, managing the resources. Leaders, now do those two interact sometimes? Absolutely. I think that those overlap. Do great managers make great leaders? Not necessarily. Are leaders good managers? Not always. So kind of meeting in the middle between the leading and the managing, we want to accomplish goals. We want to have a vision, and we'll talk about vision and mission and setting goals for your organizations. Often leaders and managers are the figureheads of the organization, but you don't always have to be a figurehead. And quickly, within your own organization, you could probably take a list of people who fit both of these. They're either leaders or they're managers, and identify those folks, and if there's somebody that's maybe a manager now and needs some additional tools and training to become a leader, because we're not born leaders, we're not born managers. It's just like any of our other skills in EMS, we have to constantly hone those skills by taking continuing education. So even though I know how to intubate or manage an airway or stop bleeding, it's something that practice makes perfect, and taking classes to make yourself better will get you there. So leading from the front lines of EMS, this slide, took some information from Simon Sinek here, a little quote from him, that great leaders don't see themselves as great. They just see themselves as human. And this is kind of spawning from last month's topic, the human factor of, we're all human. And often the people who are the great leaders, they don't see themselves as great. They just think that they're just doing their job. I'm a emergency medical responder, or I'm an EMT, or I'm a paramedic, maybe a paramedic instructor. I'm not a CEO. But often those people in those practitioner roles within your organizations in EMS can have the greatest impact on the collective culture. And we'll talk about culture and driving culture. But these people, they have some skills. They have some, they have something within them that helps collectively gather folks within the ranks. And we have responsibilities as people who are in our organizations. We have individual responsibilities of being a leader. We have responsibilities to our partners, the people that are on the scenes with us within our organizations, and then even more broad. And I really getting an opportunity to interact with people from all over the country. You kind of see EMS in a bigger profession, and really kind of get a grand scope of things. So there's responsibilities in all those elements, and what we do as individuals can impact our organizations, such as this is, I'm at a national EMS conference, and how I act as an individual, I'm actually representing my organization, but I'm also representing us as a profession. I'm representing all of you folks. So when you get an opportunity to go to a convention, get an opportunity to come, even at the state level conventions. We'll be up at Mackinac Island in May, the State EMS Expo, and when you're up there, you're representing your organization, representing yourself, and all this is an EMS profession. So we're and often the people that are in the front lines or down in the trenches are sometimes the greatest leaders. So just kind of go back to our EMS education, and one of the challenges that presents to us in EMS is traditionally there's very little time spent on leadership in the classroom, no matter what level we're at. Even on scene leadership, when we go through our scenarios and everybody knows it and everybody says it, okay, we're going to start a scenario. I show up on scene, a scene safe PSI, right? Or PPE, and traditionally that's the extent of our leadership, and we don't really spend a lot of time talking about leadership. We talk about professionalism and what it means to be professional, but I think being professional lends itself to leadership, but is not leadership as a whole. And if you look at those three books that I presented there, the Emergency Medical Responder, the EMT book, and then the Paramedic textbook, all three of those books I have used extensively, and very little is ever spoken about being a leader in there. You might have one paragraph about being a leader in EMS. On here is I also have a team leader evaluation, and for some of you that are maybe just going into the paramedic programs, this is a new skill sheet that we're using. It's a National Registry skill sheet for the paramedic psychomotor exam. And one of the things that that the paramedics are now being scored on is their leadership, coordination of treatment, directing people on scene, demonstrating confidence, compassion, maturity, command presence. And I think, and I really think that this skill sheet should really apply to all levels of EMS, because often, the emergency medical responder is the first one on scene, and they should have some education and time spent in leadership. So, if there's any EMS educators on the line tonight, I really challenge you to incorporate some of these skill sheets into your education process to really help drive leadership, starting at the foundational building blocks of what we do. And again, once we have that skill, and when we've scored successful, we're competent, but often, we have to, again, go back and go to seminars and classes just to, hone up on our leadership skills. But it's really interesting as you kind of go through the skill sheet. Talks about situational awareness and the affect, talking to the patient and making eye contact, listening to, as a paramedic walking into a call where there's already trained staff there, emergency medical responders or home health nurse or somebody, they're getting a good report from them. So again, it's an interesting tool, something where we're headed towards. So we recognize that there's less time spent on leadership, very little time spent on leadership, and we're going to work to try to improve that. So we're all role models. Be the leader you wish you had. So everybody that's listening tonight, I am certain that you at one point had a role model or somebody who is maybe within your current organization, or maybe an organization you left, or a teacher, a friend, a confidant, somebody who you really felt was a leader. And then in contrast, you probably have the similar examples of people who were not the leaders that you wanted. And often it really boils down to three principles for me. When I was at Jay Sporting Goods, one of the things that we trained on as managers at the time was being fair and being consistent. When you have employees that you're responsible for, being fair with all aspects of how you perform your duties, and being consistent. What's good for one is good for everybody, and not adhering to rules and policies and stuff like that. And then leading by example. And a good leader leads by example, and people will follow you. And we're again spawning off last month's topics, is we're as leaders, we're always in a goldfish bowl. Everybody's watching us, everything that we do. So lead by example. Make sure that you are the leader that you wish you had had. Remember your mentor. All of us have had mentors as we've come up through the ranks in EMS. And I think back about the mentors that I've had through all of my business world dealings and also in EMS. And I've had some really good mentors. I've had some people who taught me a lot of good things, and I've also had people teach me things that maybe I shouldn't necessarily do. And when I've taken classes on leadership and professional development courses, you quickly learn, wow, that wasn't the right, they're exactly right in this class. That decision was a bad decision that impacted me poorly. So remember your mentor, lead by example, and be fair, be consistent. Success by design, failure by default. So my current boss, Ken White, kind of coined this phrase and shared it with me that kind of has stuck with me. Success by design, so as we design who we are and how we want to be, we can be successful. So we're, or we can perform failure by default by not performing or not doing anything. So in order to succeed at leadership, to work at it. And here I've got a little guy working with his grandpa, and whose grandpa is his role model, which is, just really kind of struck me that, we often our kids and our grandkids, they want to be like us. And the same exists within our own organization. We have new cadets coming on, or probationary firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, and all those folks want to be like us. And so they're looking up to us. And what if we want to really succeed at leadership, it's a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly commitment to making sure that we get the training, that we do things to help develop us as leaders, because leadership has to be cultivated like a garden. You have to make sure that you have all the right elements. Anybody that's in gardening or maybe has had a farm understands soil composition. That's the base. You have to have really good soil. And if you have soil that's too acidic or too alkaline, you have to add things to that to get the right balance. And as leaders, we have to have balance. We have to cultivate ourselves once we have that balance, and we have to put the right things in. We have to water it. Your garden has to be watered. You have to feed it. You have to put fertilizer on it, and you got to weed the garden. Are there ever times that, you know, as leaders, that we make wrong decisions, or we make or we say something off the cuff that was emotional, or somebody views us, you know, maybe I come in one day and I didn't have a smile on my face because maybe my dog died, and they think that I'm angry and upset at them when it has really nothing to do with them, but back again to that goldfish. So we're just constantly have to cultivate ourselves, think about the soil, think about your daily watering, getting enough sun, you know, all those elements, and it's a daily thing to get there. So there's lots of different types of leadership. There's actually 10 best known leadership theories. And the one that really kind of sticks out to me is servant leadership. And I picked a couple of folks here that I wanted to kind of highlight: Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa, who are probably the iconic servant leaders, people who really sacrificed themselves and their entire beings to serving others. And in EMS, we often do the same exact thing. Most of us in EMS are servant leaders. Whether you know it or not, we're all got in this to help people. We're in EMS to help develop or help care for others. And so developing yourself into a servant leader is, there's again, lots of different other theories out there, but servant leadership is the one I'm highlighting. I also talked about this pillars of leadership. The Wounded Warrior Project has a lacrosse team in Wisconsin, and he uses this as his pillars of leadership for his lacrosse players who are, middle school, high school kids. And this just stood right out to me because it's a lot of the same pillars that as leaders, I think, in EMS, that we really helps drive us. And the first one here is compassion. And in my classroom, if you walk into the classroom at Mount Pleasant, compassion is one of the words that I have on the wall that I expect that the students have worked towards understanding and exemplifying compassion before they leave my classroom. And compassion is tolerance, love, caring, listening. And we'll talk about some listening techniques on how to communicate more effectively as a leader. Understanding, so listening to understand, and being sensitive to those around you. Character, that's your actions, your sense of responsibility, the values you hold. It's interesting in our organization, our values are posted everywhere, all of our stations, and every one of our staff is expected to be able to share our values of our organization that our leadership has set forth for us. And, they're professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication, and excellence. But in your organizations, I would highly encourage you to have, a mission statement. If you don't have one, as a leader, go back and say, hey, let's create a mission statement. What's our mission? What are we really trying to accomplish here? Set a set of values that help drive your mission, your vision for the future, and then set some goals for your organization, short-term, long-term. But values is one of those character pillars that you really should have. So respect, being respectful, having honor, and again, selflessness. Most of us have that down in EMS. And so commitment, work ethic. I think having a balance between our work life and our home life is we often in EMS gauge ourselves on our commitment to our organizations, or our commitment to our rescue squads, or our communities. we all know that we're very committed, but we also have to be committed to our families and have a balance, and that's really, really important. Punctuality, being on time, being prepared. The one thing that you will see in the textbooks, in EMS textbooks, is being prepared, being polished, having your boots, being professional, the elements of professionalism, having a nice press uniform, all having uniforms, not showing up where we're all look different. So we're all pressed and clean and polished. Having standards for organizations, standards for yourself, and strengths and weaknesses shows commitment. Understanding what your strengths are and understanding what your weaknesses are and working on those. Competence. So competence, being able to perform your roles, your skills. I do a lot of continuing education classes, and I often tell the students, I take this seriously. We want you to be able to understand and perform. And as we move forward into the future, we're really getting away from skills-based education and really trying to move into the scenario-based education, where you're really putting the whole package. You're not just showing up and putting a nasopharyngeal airway in. You're actually making the decision and talking to the patients, and then finding out the why of why I'm going to put an MPA in. So the scenario-based education and being able to perform. Knowledge, having that knowledge of when to do that, how to do it, what's the implications. Being coachable. We often talk about constructive criticism, and constructive criticism is just that. It's meant to be constructive. It's not to browbeat somebody. It's to share with them how to improve. And as leaders, having that ability and practicing coaching somebody, instead of telling them that they're just doing something wrong, telling them that they made a mistake, and this is how it's being flexible in your explanation and being a little less rigid, and giving them the why of it. So ability, understanding, poise, having good poise, looking like the calm in the storm. You walk in as a leader, you can walk, all of us in EMS, we walk into some pretty bad situations, and having poise as a leader of making the best of a bad situation. And I've often had people say, "Boy, you didn't look like you were right on that last call." Well, no, I'm not supposed to. I had 1,000 butterflies on the inside of me, but on the outside, you wouldn't have known it. And that's an important element to work on as a leader, having poise, and then applying those skills that we know. Courage. Every one of us have, stepping forward to perform in EMS. I think we've had some element of courage and sticking with it, having some physical and mental toughness, enduring long hours, and all the things that we endure. Being principle-based, standing by your principles. That takes courage sometimes. Doing the right thing, and I talked about this last month, of doing the right thing. Being principle-based is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. Somebody actually made that comment, I think. And it's easy to do the right thing when everybody's looking. It's harder to do the right thing when nobody's looking. So you have to stand by your principles. Even when doing the right thing is less than popular, standing by your principles and making that happen is a good element of a good leader. Decision making, being able to make a decision, can't waver. Often, I think some of the best people that I've looked up to as leaders made decisions, and not necessarily emotional decisions, well thought out decisions, but made them quickly, so it didn't appear as if they were putting things off. So having the ability, and that's decision making, is another element of leadership that takes some time and takes some fertilizer and some sun and some water to cultivate that. Humility and sacrifice, being humble and sacrificing, and that goes without saying. All of us in EMS have sacrificed to get where we're at. So Mahatma Gandhi, one of the quotes that I found very appropriate for servant leadership is, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that couldn't be, I think, more true for all of us in EMS. Serving others, sometimes it helps us find who we truly are. Mother Teresa, do things for people not because of who they are or what they do in return, but because of who you are. And this really hit home, and kind of again took me back to last month, the human factor of caring for people because they're human. And often we don't ever ask for anything in return as EMS leaders. We're doing it because of who we are. So there's some 6 domains of leadership, and really each of these domains is something that you have to work on that daily basis. You have to be responsible, model ethical action, strive for balance, exhibit good public leadership, being that person that everybody's looking up to, be supportive, protect your people. Often in my EMS classes, I'll talk about being a patient advocate. If you're an EMS instructor, a fire instructor, and you've taken any training with me, I'll talk about being a student advocate, fighting for resources. All of my leadership team at Mobile Medical Response often calls me the white noise, because I'm constantly fighting for resources and protecting our people. That's the one element I think that we all are usually pretty good at, is supporting each other. Giving feedback, not blame. So sharing, how to do something better and not blaming them, and giving them a solution to fix it. Being an inspiration. Being an inspiration to those around you. And often we're sometimes inspirational and we don't even realize it, because we're optimistic, we're enthusiastic. I was told when I worked at Jay's, you're just too happy. You need to not be as happy. It made me kind of giggle, because I have lots of optimism and I'm enthusiastic and I have passion, and don't misplace my passion and my enthusiasm and my optimism for just being overly happy. And probably because I had Twinkies, and anybody that knows me knows I like to eat Twinkies. So contextual, you can keep things in context, build your team identity, build coherence in a complex world by clarifying your mission, your roles, and your practices. So mission, vision, and values. Be able to be related to. I can give you several leaders that I know that their staff don't relate to them. They're respected, but they don't necessarily people can't relate to them. So be able to have your folks relate to you, be able to come to you, and then sincerely be concerned about their best interest. So give you a short example. When I was at both MMR and at J Sporting Goods, I would take time to sit down with the people on my shift to find out how things were going with them on a regular routine basis, because that's really important. And it's amazing how your staff or the people around you, even if it's your partner, being able to relate to your partner, how they'll respect you and really follow you as a leader. So project your leadership capability, be real, demonstrate your dedication. Don't just talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And when you say you're going to do something, do it. So what's your plan? All of us have work to do, including myself. I was telling Emma just before this that, leadership is I'm taking leadership classes out here at Utah this weekend. It's work in progress. And so formulate a plan. With the tight budgets that we have and incomes, it's trying to get into the classes. But there's lots of ways that you can work on it. You don't necessarily have to take a class. There's books, in which I'm going to share with you that, the internet's full of information for us. You really can just go out there. I have a wealth of information of stuff that I've found about leadership, and it's all out there for us to use. So again, back to that vision and mission. Create a vision for your organization, create a mission, make a plan for your organization. You may have one, and go back and revisit it. Say, are we meeting our vision? Are we headed towards where we need to? And are we fulfilling our mission? And I took a leadership class this last weekend on Saturday in Leadership 2 for the Michigan Firefighters Training Council. And my instructor, Doug Lobsinger, shared this little thing here on the bottom of the screen. It says values-driven, mission-focused. So let your values drive you, and be focused on the mission. And as a leader, if we can establish our values, create a vision, focus on our mission, that will really help us as leaders in our communities. When we go back, if we're going to do anything, we should do things that support our values, that drive us, that support the mission. And if our mission's taking care of the community, being whatever that is, whatever it is for nation. So I talked about being a follower, the art of followership. Leaders need followers. So I think part of being a leader is often being a follower first. And there is an art of followership, and I've read his book about being a follower and how great followers create great leaders in organizations. Because you can't have an organization all full of leaders. You need people that will follow, but will follow for the right reasons. Will actually stand up and challenge leadership. Sometimes the best followers are the ones that are challenging leadership, not necessarily being toxic to the leadership, but challenging them, asking questions, really driving some thought invoking principles, and really pushing them. So no nation or organization is built without the collective effort of a group of able, energetic, unsung followers. And this is directly out of the Art of Followership book. You got to be able, energetic follower. And in our nation right now, we do have some collective efforts, and both sides, energetic and able. But it's being a good follower. It's not toxic, and that's clearly delineated out in this book, which is a good read. Anybody, and again, I want to make a disclaimer here that I don't have any financial interest in any of the books or any of the stuff and information I'm showing you. I'm not getting reimbursed for any of this. I'm simply sharing with you guys some stuff, and I'm going to show you some books here in a minute, some recommended reading, but EMS, if you go to half.com, which is a spawn of eBay, half.com has some really good deals on used books. There's lots of used bookstores on Amazon and all those. So how do we get to become leaders? Well, first of all, we want to embrace the journey. And it's a lifelong journey. Ask yourself some questions. What does a leader look like? What do you see as a leader? And back to that, being a mentor and having mentors, what did they look like? And the really good leaders that you've had, what did they do? And ask them, how do you do it? But ask yourself that question. What does a leader look like? How do we get there? well, hopefully we've shared a lot of that in tonight's presentation of how we get there is classes and constant cultivating of our skills. And how do you eat an elephant? Well, I can tell you can't eat the whole thing all at once, and you can't be a leader all at once. And I threw that question there to kind of make everybody giggle, because being a leader is, is getting there. So it's a journey, and would be a journey to eat an elephant. You can't bite it. You can't eat it all at once. So you got to take little bites, constant, daily, small bites at a time to eventually become a great leader. And the most powerful leadership tool you can have is your own personal example. John Wooden has wrote lots of leadership books, and by just showing your own personal example, that's the most powerful leadership tool you could have. So where do I get leadership training? Well, so again, the classes, there's the National Association of EMTs has actually came out with the new canned education program for continuing education. It's a 2-day program, and the Principles of Ethics and Personal Leadership. And it's really a really good course, and helps you kind of develop those skills as a leader, and gives you some foundational ethics and things to. And it's a really interesting course. I'm actually the affiliate faculty from Michigan, and we did some courses. 3 or 4 courses last year, and we're looking to schedule some here for 2017. So, if anybody's looking for, an AEMT course, and you want to be a host site, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll share my email with you guys here at the end. But I'd love to come put the class on, and show you guys, give you another little element of leadership. And I also have here coming up this year, and Emma from Michigan Rural Health and Crystal, Michigan Rural Health Association, has been really good about these EMS Leadership Academies. And I got to tell you guys, these workshops are phenomenal. The Safe Tech Solutions, Aaron Reinert from Safe Tech Solutions, and his group will, Emma has them come and do these classes for us, these workshops, and I've been through all 4 levels, and I can't tell you how great these really are, and gave me a lot of things to think about. Aaron's actually out here speaking at EMS today out here. He was speaking this morning on leadership, so it's a really good opportunity. I know our organizations, we have. It's a funding issue, or maybe you don't have the staffing to get to it, but if in any way possible you can get to any of these levels, or try to make all of them, Michigan Rural Health makes it possible to have these. And if we're not taking advantage of these workshops and these things for rural health, they'll go away, and we don't want them to go away. I also have a link down here. If you have this presentation, click that hyperlink. That'll take you to the Michigan Rural Health webpage for these workshops, and you can get to the registration link from there to get registered. So please take the opportunity to get registered. It's really a really good opportunity. We're in the taking care of people business, and taking care of each other. And this picture I have on here is of a pizza that's a pizzeria around the corner from my house, Pier Market Pizzeria, and their pizza's phenomenal. And I this quote that somebody had shared at one of the leadership conferences: "It's not a pizza. We're taking care of people. We're taking care of each other. We're not pizzas. You're not trying to get it there in 30 minutes or less and keep it warm. We're trying to keep people alive." And so. As leaders, as EMS leaders, it's something to really think about ourselves. We're not just moving pizzas, keep trying to get it to the hospital 30 minutes or less and keep it warm. I mean, in essence, we are trying to keep them alive, but it's not as simple as a pizza. So leadership is and you have to take leadership in small bites. here's some recommended reading. As I said, there's lots of leadership books out there, and I've got just a few here for you. I've read, I think, about 3/4 of these, and most of them are still on my desk, and I refer to them when I have a question come up or a situation. A lot of times I will refer back to one of my leadership books, just to help reinforce maybe I'm making the right decision, I'm making the right action, and just sometimes taking 5 or 10 minutes out of your day, taking a chapter and just real quick kind of perusing the chapter, reading it, rereading it. The Good to Great, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is a really good. You can see John C. Maxwell; he's one of my favorites. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Lots of really good information in there. I was recently gifted the leadership book that by Rudy Giuliani, by somebody who is in our organization, who's been through the Leadership Academy, and found that book was really helpful for him. So he shared that with me as well. The new 1 Minute Manager was required reading for me when I was at J Sporting Goods as a customer service manager. All the managers had to read that book, and then we would do trainings, leadership trainings, almost weekly. So lots of good different books here. And again, you can Google leadership, and almost all these will pop up. So you can go out and get a really good deal on Amazon or half.com on used books. So kind of in summary, small daily steps towards your goals of leadership. Again, you can't eat an elephant. You can't take these big bites of leadership and think, okay, well, I've taken these 5 leadership courses and I've got it. You got to cultivate your garden, make sure you got the right balance. Practice servant leadership. Servant leadership will develop culture change within your organizations. So taking care of your people. If you take care of your people will take care of you. And I really believe that. I've witnessed it. And again, seeking out formal leadership seminars and classes, there's lots of that. That leadership track in EMS is just exploding. I can tell you out here at the EMS today, there's lots of courses on leadership and how we get there and how we share it and how we tailor it to our EMS agencies. But leadership comes in lots of different forms, and I think the one that's the easiest for us to gravitate is the servant leadership. So I do want to say thank you to Michigan Center for Rural Health and Emma for all their contributions to Michigan Rural EMS. They really make these possible. There's a lot of things that go on the backside, and without her leadership and Crystal's at Michigan Rural Health, these opportunities may not be available. So this is a really nice thing for them to do for us, and so please spread the word, get more people involved, and if you have an opportunity to go to the academy and the upcoming academy, that'd be great. So that's what I've got. I know Emma wanted to do a kind of a question answer. If anybody's got anything that they've done that's worked really well for them, definitely would like to take some time here in the last few minutes just to see if anybody has got anything that, any burning questions or have any input that they'd like to share.
Thank you, Matt. I will go ahead and unmute the lines, but before I do, just to touch on what Matt spoke about leadership and what the Michigan Center for Rural Health does in collaboration with Safe Tech Solutions. Safe Tech Solutions, if you have never heard of them, they're out of Minnesota, specifically Minneapolis, and I just wanted to touch a little bit on that. As Matt mentioned, registration is now open for all 4 EMS Leadership Academy levels 1 through 4, and they are all located in Mount Pleasant, Michigan at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, and tuition is free. We are grant funded every year to be able to fund 2 to 3 courses a year. So right now we have 3 set for 2017 and a 4th to be determined in spring of 2018. training. And the only thing that you would have to pay as a participant is hotel accommodations. And then you do put down a deposit in case you do not show up to the course, as it is a limited number of people that can attend this course. And it is a full course usually. 26 participants can attend each course, and then there's a waiting list. So registration is open and there are still spots available, so please contact me if you're interested in attending those. And so I just wanted to touch on that. And Matt, as he said, attended all 4, and I do not have any sort of EMS background. I do not have my EMT license, paramedic license. I'm not a medical director. I'm not a chief. And I find going to the courses as kind of an outsider doing EMS work quite beneficial. So I just wanted to put that out there. It is a great set of 4 workshops to attend. So at this time, I'm going to unmute the lines. I do have some comments coming in as I see. Matt, it looks like everybody says good job, and some people have said they have read the books that you have mentioned, Matt. And I see that you did join us, Brian. Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to unmute the lines, and just to let you know that I have recorded this webinar and I will post it to the MCRH website most likely tomorrow, as I'm working remotely tonight. And just another reminder, you have until Wednesday, March 8th to complete the evaluation, the attendance form, and quiz. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And thank you, Matt, all the way from Salt Lake City. And so if anybody has any questions or any comments or anything they want to share about leadership and what's working in your agency, please speak up at this time.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Just a comment, on the cheat sheet. It'd be nice with this one if you had could have had an IC credit under administration.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And that's really important because they're very hard to get.
Yep. Yeah, I will take that into consideration. Maybe Emma can have me back and we can do some another leadership element, and I will definitely put in for IC credits. I didn't even think about the IC side of things, so I appreciate that. I'll definitely take that into consideration for the next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that comment. That is excellent to know, and definitely for future. And another thing I just wanted to mention is we do have a webinar coming up in March. Registration isn't open yet, but it will be shortly. But I am looking for more webinars for April and May of this year. So maybe I can connect with Matt if you're available, Matt, or if anybody that's on the line that has an IC credential and wants to speak on any EMS related topic, please reach out. I'm always looking for volunteers. As Matt also mentioned, he does this on his own time, and I know you guys are all very busy, so just wanted to put that out there as well. Is there anybody else on the line that has any questions or comments or anything they want to share about their agency and what they're doing? Hi, Denny, I see that you're on the line. Matt, do you have anything to put out there?
Nope, I'm set. I will take into advisement the IC credits, and maybe I can connect with you for March, April, for April and May, and get something scheduled to help accommodate the rest of the instructor coordinators. So I'll definitely take that into advisement. I'll write a dual credit for, maybe we can do another leadership 2 maybe, and maybe I can get some good information here from Salt Lake City to be able to bring back to all of us back in Michigan in April or May.
I think that would be a phenomenal idea. And just to go with that, on the evaluation, everyone, there is a section where you can write comments, suggestions. Please make any note there on any related topics or any future topics you want to hear from us. And if you are interested on speaking on a webinar, please reach out to me. And then another thing that I put on the evaluation this time around is what your agency is doing for National EMS Week. This week it's May 21st through the 27th. And I am looking, as far as our office, MCRH goes, I would like to see what everybody in rural Michigan is doing to celebrate this week and highlighting all the hard work that as EMS professionals as you are do every day. And as Matt mentioned, you don't do it for necessarily the money, you do it because you want to and what you love to do. And that is something that I'm really trying to get more involved in, and I want you guys to get more involved in it as well. So if you guys have anything going on at your agency for National EMS Week, please reach out to me as well, because I would love to be more involved. So with that, if there's any last minute questions or comments, please go ahead and speak up.
Hey, Matt, this is Mike from Saginaw Security in Standish, Michigan. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mike, how are you?
Good. We just wanted to say thanks for the presentation, and when we saw your name come up in the email, we wanted to take the webinar, so we appreciate you taking the time out to put the webinar on.
Hey, no problem. I think somebody from over there was looking for some continuing ed classes. So as I told all of you guys, if you if you wanted to take the people course or you have some continuing education needs, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is mdrake, M as in Matthew, Drake, like the duck, D-R-A-K-E, at mobilemedical.org. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to come out and help with continuing education. I know we have a couple of continuing education courses coming up in March and April, covering the new pediatric credits that all of us need. So if you want some more information, just shoot me an email and I'll send those out to you. And yeah, if you have any further questions or something that may spawn later, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Okay, great. Yeah, we've been working with Scott Kranicki on setting up Education Blitz.
Awesome. Good job.
That's great news. I'm glad to hear that.
One of the things I know, it wasn't so focused on leadership, but recently we had another CPR save, and I think our team out here does a great job, and we worked with MMR for that training. One of our main focuses of leadership recently over the last 6 months is focusing on agonal breathing and recognizing that.
Yep.
We can provide that CPR care right away, because a lot of times our officers or even us in management, if we were inexperienced, were under the impression they were breathing, or that false hope of thinking we had a pulse when we didn't.
Right.
So the quicker we've been on it, we've been pretty good. I think we're 3 for 4 out of our last CPR.
That is fantastic, and that's something that that needs to be recognized. That you guys do. That's a great job. If you guys just shoot me an email, see what we can do to maybe get you guys tied into our Saginaw Valley Medical Control Authority, and I'll reach out to those guys and see if we can't get some recognition, because that's I got to tell you, in the EMS world, 3 for 4 is a pretty phenomenal number. So you guys are definitely doing the right thing, and you got some good work going on there. If you guys are showing numbers like that, so that's awesome.
Great. Also, I just wanted to ask if anybody joined in late just via audio, please either speak up now or shoot me an email. Otherwise, I think I got everybody else that's on the line that joined via the Zoom software. And thank you all again for joining us tonight. Thank you, Matt. That was great. And really, we should have probably collaborated on that presentation. It's great information, and leadership and recruitment and retention is definitely a big thing in rural EMS. And as I said, I don't have much of a background in EMS, and I'm still learning all of what you do, and I appreciate everything you guys do. So keep up the good work, and if no one has anything else they need to say or any questions, I will let you guys all go.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you very much. You guys all have a great night.
Have a good
Thank
time
you.
in Salt Lake City, Matt.
I will. Thank
We'll
you.
connect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.